Hi guys. Hello, Akwaba, Sanu, Kedu, bonjour. You're right, mate. Guys, as always, it's so exciting to be here with you. Welcome to the 3D show with myself, Desire. If this is your first time tuning in, the 3D, as much as I would love for it to be all about me, no, the 3D stands for your decision today determines your destiny tomorrow. So, it's been another wonderful week. It's even better here because it's bank holiday weekend. So I don't know what you're doing, but if there are any barbecues out there, slide in my DMs and invite me. Because listen, post lockdown, we're not saying no to no invite. I am coming. Yes. So just very quickly, we are going to guys, trigger warning. The video I'm about to show you today, if you are if you're like me and you don't like all these gooey things, please just go and take a break, move away from your screens, because this video is just too much. But as part of Hot Topics, I just want to show this video just as a warning to, everybody out there. I know we all want to look good, and I know we're all, buying into the media's view of beauty, and, we're never happy with something about ourselves. But please, for goodness sakes, I don't know, try and find a way to love your flaws. Try and find a way to love yourself, because we are taking it too far with these surgeries. I mean, I'm just going to shut up and show you this video, and when we come back, just comment down below, because we're not judging anybody that's done surgeries. I'm not telling you not to do it. For goodness sakes, it's your body, but just be careful. If you are going to do it, please do your research and go to, good surgeons. Don't just, if it seems too good to be true, trust me, it is. No surgery is going to cost £600. No. Please, let's not play with our lives and with our bodies. If COVID didn't claim your life, do not throw your life away for, silly reasons. So, I'm just going to show you the video just as a caution to really be careful and find a way to love your flaws, because, honey, you are beautiful. This is the video. Oh my goodness.
I'm not going to see me.
Still more, but it will be okay. By the time all these ones come out now, if I'm going another MS's busy.
What?
Another kidney dish. Bring the yellow one, that yellow one. And these things, they are important they don't come out, they will just keep popping out in other areas. See a little bit left. This will give you a whole lot of relief.
Guys, welcome back to the show. Did you throw up in your mouth? Because I did. Listen, I don't know why you would do this to your body, but listen, it's not worth it. It's honestly not worth it. God did not make a mistake when he was creating you. If you want, a little bit of junk in the trunk, just eat some fufu. Eat some eba, it will come. And then, you do a bit of squats and bumps your ankle, you're good. But going to inject all these foreign objects into your body, and especially, in very dubious and questionable places, some people are doing these things in basements, and just on the black market, it's not worth it, guys. It's honestly not worth it at all. So, I'm just going to take a very quick break, and when we come back, the show is very, very exciting because ever since I got this show, so many people have been wanting me to talk about relationships, and today, listen, your wish has been granted. I have a phenomenal lady in the studio with me today. She's actually a couples therapist, or a marriage counselor, and just she's just too much, because we've been in rooms on Clubhouse, and when she speaks, she's so dynamic and she's so passionate about what she does. So I couldn't resist, bringing her on the show and for us to pick her brain. So today's topic, we're going to be talking about roles in the relationship, roles and responsibilities. I think there was a video some time ago that went viral with the president of Nigeria, President Buhari, who said his wife's place is in the kitchen. And I although it was quite humorous, it kind of stirred up a bit of storm in the feminist community and all of that. So now today we've got the expert in the studio. We're going to find out, is the woman's place really in the kitchen? So if it is, where is the man's place in the house and in the relationship? We will find out. Stay tuned. We're just going to take a very quick break, and when we come back, we will go straight into the discussion. We'll see you shortly.
Offer, Major say, Mini, now only certificate. Offer, we are going to pay a certificate. Oh, offer for part to come on certificate. You are not a certificate. ITS Pro Center. I'm feeling now. Shall you put it to your Gana problem is a pay. And they are young. If you have so for baby for a was one man cow, would you pay money? Now, can you say, would you trouble so to him? And sign that man in the ITS Pro Center. ITS Pro Center, medium fan it is pro. I just say, you're teaching crop for your mount SIA license. Now, but with your security, now they are going to pay you. Because of your net and conform. Ajuma sign no winya ajuma. Baby American farmer ITS Pro Center. And what any better amount here by 4 days perfect. Na Osaka certificate. Eti adetina esa was na aka cham so winya ajuma ye. ITS Pro Training Center no. Anya SI nkwa na ye. Ye CSCS card so aka on. CSCS card no. Just 1 day training pep. Na wo wie so a unsabasa kan health and safety certificate so. And what why they? And if you have for a Jerry, I'm a training. Almost a shag master site. It's been a megan for what why they? And they are what to make a Bomadia Nafray. Our son number is so. Phone number 079 04 68 6944 079 04 68 6944. Bomadia Nafray in the yard. ITS Pro Training Center. Address 453 to 457 First Floor, Libridge Road, E10 7E. Buses do one one for Bomodiana Brandia. And the Ampa was over your bar. What's so better me a construction and security? And to their praying, Naya Kawakasa. Yes, out of Casaso. Training Center week. Nasaki Training Center week. 2 years with some certificate. Now, Jacko Yajuma.
Hi guys, welcome back to the show. You're tuned into the 3D show with myself, Desire. As always, your decision today determines your destiny, so let's be making wise decisions. Just before the break, I was talking about my guest in the studio with me today, with whom we're going to be discussing roles and responsibilities in a relationship. I have some controversial questions for her, because I know she's a Christian and very traditional, but we live in a very untraditional world right now. So I want to see how how she will deal with the questions that I've got coming. I'm sure she's got an idea, so she knows I'm very mischievous, so she came prepared. But I have Princess Thompson in the studio with me today. She's actually a relationship coach, a very dynamic and charismatic speaker. Trust me. I know she shares practical tools to help couples thrive in their relationships with a sense of humor and a boldness in Christ. So she's actually a mother of 2 boys. I don't know how she does it looking this good. I only have 1 boy, and let me tell you, it is a struggle. So Princess is able to engage her audience with life-changing exhortations and encourage them to identify godly relationship goals and purposefully create actions that will enable them to achieve those goals. Princess, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
You're looking very colorful and bright.
Thank you.
You're definitely ready for the summer.
I just thought to add a pop of color.
Listen, we need it. We need it. How are the boys?
They are well. They are a handful, but they are well.
Wow. So, relationship coach, how did you get into that?
So I've always wanted to be into relationships,
right?
I think from childhood, but I never really saw it or envisioned it as a coach or a counselor or anything. But I think I always grew up like being the one who was overly romantic out of my sisters. I'll be the one watching the movie and I'm like, oh my god,
books. Did you read those?
My friends used to call me the love doctor. So I think I've always, been into, like, I'm always the one who was giving my friends relationship tips and advice.
Yeah. Oh God, bless you.
So I've always grown up that way. But when I think that the older I got, the more I wasn't really looking into the whole marriage thing. So I was into relationships, but I was very fearful of marriage.
Okay.
And I think it came from, growing up in a family where my parents got separated and divorced, so it sort of left a little bit of a trauma.
Right.
I was always fearful of marrying the wrong person.
Right.
And then you discover Christ and you realize that the thing that you're running away from is exactly what you've been called to do.
Okay.
So it was in that discovery, my relationship with God, I just realized that this passion I've always had since I was a child was supposed to be serve a bigger purpose.
Okay.
And that's how I found myself here today.
Wow. So is it something, do you get paid to do it, or is it like a side gig?
So I do get paid for my coaching sessions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. So you can actually make money out of your passion, guys.
Yes, you can.
Me, my passion is eating, so I need to find a way to monetize that. But it's very interesting what you said, that even though you were scared of marriage, you were still like into love. How do you separate the two? How do you love, but then like you're fearful of, I guess, the union and the result of love?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I don't think I've actually ever been asked this question before, but the thing is, you can love the romance, you can love the fact that somebody gives you companionship, you have someone to talk to, you get to go on dates with someone, right? And then when it gets to the commitment part of it, you can be afraid because this is a lifelong journey, right? So you can be so in love with the idea of a thing but not necessarily be into the thing itself. And sometimes I think I was just so far as I was in a relationship, I was okay. But if you brought up the conversation of marriage, I was scared.
Yeah. You're married now? I
am married. I've been married for 2 years. So in your capacity
now as a relationship coach, if I came to you and said, do you know what? I love my partner. We've been together for X amount of years, and I think he's thinking of marriage, but I'm not really there yet. And then you find out, all my reasons. It's not because I don't love him. What advice will you give such a person?
So definitely what I would say is one of my favorite quotes from one of my favorite speakers, Dr. Miles Monroe, may his soul rest in perfect peace. But one of the things that he always said was, where purpose is not known, abuse is inevitable. And we will address that when we actually speak about the main topic today. But I realized that if you do not understand the purpose for marriage, it's very difficult for you to actually want to be married. It's like, I look at this chair and I know that it's meant to be sitting, it's for you to sit down, right? But I could also pick the chair and decide to stand on it. I could pick the chair, decide to put my feet on them and just
Right.
relax, right? So it could serve so many things, but there's an original purpose for it. So for example, some people get married because they want to have children, because they think that's the only purpose for marriage. And I want to have children, so let me get married so I can have children. You can use it for different things, but the main purpose for marriage is really companionship. So until you understand that you're going to be in this relationship with someone, you're going to be working as companions, it's very difficult for you to embrace the idea of what the thing is. So the first thing I'll say to someone is make sure you understand what marriage is before you actually start deciding that you're going to do it, and then make sure you understand what your role in the marriage will be, which we'll be looking at today.
I mean, that's a great segue. Let's talk about that, because like you said, once you understand the purpose of it, so now I'm over my fear, I'm now in the marriage. How do I identify my role in the marriage, and how do I differentiate the roles and responsibilities?
So when we talk about roles in a marriage, I think it's very important that we realize that we're looking at behaviors and expectations. So really the fundamental definition, or the most basic definition you can give for roles in a marriage, is the behaviors and the expectations that a couple should have of each other in the marriage. That's it. That's the most basic form. However, it's important for us to realize that our culture can influence those behaviors, and society can also place expectations, whether they are realistic or unrealistic, on married couples. So while it's the behavior and expectation that you expect of your spouse, it's also possible that somebody could influence that behavior.
Can you give us an example?
A really good example is, for example, you're in a relationship with, I like to use marriage because I feel like marriage allows me then to bring certain biblical concepts for me to be able to explain it properly. So in a marriage, for example, you've got a spouse and, who say, I want to be married, but I don't really think I'm looking at the idea of having children right now, right? It's an expectation that society has on us to have children in marriage.
Yes.
Based on what society that you're from,
Them
right?
womb watchers.
So the moment you get married, you start having everybody asking, when are the babies coming? When are the babies coming? And it's an expectation that everybody has. So they place that on the couple.
Yeah.
It's important that the couple have that conversation, that do they want to, even before they get married, they need to have that conversation, because then it helps you to be able to manage those roles like we were speaking about, because the roles change when children come into it, right?
Of course.
It doesn't always stay as husband and wife, and that's one of the things as well.
Yeah.
People think that when you get married, it's just husband and wife, but the moment you add other roles onto it, like mother, you become a mother or a father, then it's very possible that what you were doing initially as a couple, just husband and wife, has to start to change.
You don't have that luxury anymore. Time and
and added responsibilities.
Yes. Right. So I mean, this is amazing, because very typically when you talk about roles and responsibilities in marriages, very, very typically everybody's mind goes to the cooking and the who's providing and this and that, and it's very interesting what you have your view on it. But so now we're in the home. Let's face it, this generation, everybody wants a benwaha. Everyone like, oh, I forgot your gun. Like, everybody wants, the already made, and I think the reality is a lot of people are not living that, but they want the world to believe that, oh, my husband just bought me a Mercedes, what, and this, that. But let's talk realistically. Is the woman's place just to bear children, stay at home, and look after the child? Because in a lot of situations, the woman might be earning more than the man, but you're still a woman. Once you give birth and all of that, how do you advise couples in those situations? Because I'm earning more, you're earning less, I've had a baby, but then the man is like, well, you're a woman, give up your job and stay at home. How do you coach such situations?
You've asked quite a number of questions in one, right?
Yeah.
So I'll sort of break it down. And I like the fact that you spoke earlier about, how everyone's mind immediately goes to cooking, cleaning, and paying of bills. And I think it's so important today, whoever's listening to this, for us to start to have a mindset change and transform the way we think when we approach roles and responsibilities, right? Especially roles in relationships, because the thing is, the cooking and the cleaning and the paying of bills, I usually like to call them functions or activities that a couple has to play in order to manage their home effectively, right? So
right.
they're more,
You're educating us. So they're
more,
not roles,
they're not
they're
necessarily
functions.
your roles. They're more like functions and activities that you
Right.
have to do in order to manage usually your home. You see, roles are wider. They look at the bigger picture than
Right.
just a tiny part of the picture, which could be cooking or cleaning. That's the first thing that I want to see.
You'll be surprised. A lot of people.
I know. And it's because they're also not having the conversations. And we'll look at that later. But, so like I said, let's have that mindset change. And the next thing I want us to do is, I think you spoke about something I really wanted to touch on. And it was about, the man, the woman deciding, oh, I want to work more and all of that. Yes. There are some roles that are usually automatically assumed because of the way that we've been created biologically. Right. So for example, if you're in a relationship and you decided to have children, we all know that the woman is going to play the role of carrying the child until the delivery time, and then when the child comes, usually when the woman can breastfeed, she will be the one feeding the child. Okay, what happens with that sometimes is, because there's a role that you have assumed naturally because of your biological setup, you can almost start to then extend that role without even noticing it. So I'll give you a really good example. When a woman has a child and she, breastfeeds the child, it is quickly assumed that, oh, then you will be responsible for feeding the children. So sometimes the natural roles that we play because of how we've been built biologically can almost lead us into doing things beyond the biological setup, and it becomes a norm. Right. So then society, so if you've grown
Hey, princess, you are good. You are good. You are good.
Thank
wow.
you.
Okay.
So if you've grown up seeing your mums and the aunties always looking after the food part, or when we're having parties, we see the women always cooking on the side, and you see the men standing, maybe having a conversation, you will automatically assume that women look after the feeding part of the children. But in my home, for example, my husband does a better job feeding the children than I do. He's more patient. He's more into the nutritional part, what they eat. He's very into that. So I don't understand why I should do it when he does it so effortlessly, right? And so we'll look at the different types of assuming roles as well. But that's one thing I wanted to point out. So for example, the man is well built. He's physically stronger because of the way his muscles are built. So in a relationship, he assumes the role of protecting his spouse. And I wanted to use this to, highlight the fact that if you do not understand the purpose for the relationship that you're in, you can abuse the role. This is what I would say. Okay. The way we can abuse roles sometimes manifests in two ways. So one of the ways is you don't even show up at all to perform that role because you don't understand the purpose for it. So for example, as a man, you have an understanding that I'm supposed to, be the leader of your home. Some men don't show up at all to perform that role, and then you find women are operating in the leadership role of the family. And we'll talk about grace in a bit, because there's grace to be able to perform certain roles that has been assigned by God, right? But then the man decides then, oh, I'm not going to play this role. A man sits down, he plays no leadership role, he has no vision for the home, and the woman takes those roles, and you find that there's a lot of bitterness in the women after years and years of doing something that she hasn't necessarily been graced to do. So there's a tendency not to show up at all, and then there's a tendency also to abuse that role, right? In a way that you decide that I'm going to use this role to control my spouse. So I'll give a good example. Wow. If you're the woman and you decide that, I'm going to be the one doing the cooking. My spouse I wanted to have sex with my husband and he didn't give me sex. So you know what? In the morning, I'm not cooking for him. You can then decide, this is the role that you decided to play, right? You decided that I want to be the one responsible for the cooking. So you can then, because you don't understand the purpose of marriage and serving one another in marriage, you can decide that I'm not going to cook his food. And then use that as a way to manipulate him. I'll give you a very good example. Before I actually became born again, this was the very early stages of my born again experience. I was on a train one day, and there was this man who was furious on the train. He was speaking to who I assume is his wife. And he has left home. And the woman was saying, you know, why have you left home? Come back home. And he's like, I'm not going to come back home. And she's, you know, you could say they're having a back and forth. And he said something along the lines of, so because I didn't give you sex last night, you decided that this morning.
He said this on the train.
You decided this morning you're not going to make me breakfast. And it really made me understand how sometimes, you know, we've taken responsibility for certain roles in our home. And then because we don't understand the purpose, like I was telling you, we decide then to abuse it and use control it to manipulate. There are some men as well who, because they've assumed the role of, you know, being financially responsible, they decide that, you know, I'm going to make sure that I'm not going to give her money, and I'm going to make sure that she's always going to come to me for money, so that if she ever thinks about leaving me in this relationship, she won't be able to fend for herself financially. So we've got people who are in abusive relationships because guess what? If they go, how are they going to eat? How are they going to clothe themselves? How are they going to take care of the children? So sometimes we abuse the roles that we assume because we do not understand the purpose for the relationship.
Whew, guys, are you? I'm just soaking up all this wisdom that, you know, Princess is just spewing. I am loving it. You know, you said something that is very profound to me, because when you said, because we are created and we have certain biological setups, we naturally assume certain roles and then we extend it. This is very, very important, because a lot of the times when we are talking, we've been programmed to think that these things are cultural and we've accepted it as the norm, but it's not. And wow. And
that's true, because the thing is, in the past, these roles were so clear because of the society that they lived in, right? Society had decided that men go to work, women stay at home in their aprons, they cook, clean, and all of that. And it was well understood. And then the industrialization happened. You know, women emancipation happened. And so now the men have gone to war. The women have to go and work in the factories so that they can continue supplying the guns and the clothes that the men needed for war and all the food and all of that. The men came back from war, and guess what? The woman who's supposed to be cooking for you is now at work. And that's where the confusion started. So we are in a generation, or the modern society today, where women are trying to navigate this very confusing state in which we're in. Because our mothers, for example, didn't have to report to a boss. Didn't have to go out for 9 to 5. So my mom, for example, she was a business owner, but she didn't really do it as much when we were growing up. It was until we were much older. And then there's some people, you know, whose grandmothers as well never went to work. So they could have 7 children and they could have 10 children. And then now we find ourselves navigating 2 children. But because you've got a boss who you have to answer to, it's not the same. It's not the same. So we've got women coming back from work, and then they're expected to cook, they're expected to clean, and it's almost impossible for you to do it. Even when you're a stay-at-home mom, it's still impossible to do it. It's difficult to look after your kids and then cook and clean
then have the energy for...
So you can only imagine what it's like when you're out of the house. So we are navigating a situation where it's really difficult, which is what brings us to this point. It's very important as a couple to look at what works for your setup.
Not what works for your mum. You know, a lot of like guys say, I've heard it a lot. Listen, my you know, my mum worked, she came back and, you know, there was always fresh food. So I don't want food from the fridge. And it's like, well, go marry your mum then. Because I'm not your mum. The same way that you're not your dad. Let's, you know, like, but I mean, don't speak to your husband like that, please. Don't speak to your husband like that. But, you know, like, I feel like these are all the very, like, these are all realistic conversations.
And we need to understand as well that, you know, when women started to work in the workplace, there was only how far they could go. Now we have women who are partners, women who are managing directors, women who are founders. So the responsibility of a managing director and a founder is very different from someone who is, you know, you can sort of just go in, clock the, you know, sort of hit the clock and then you're done and you go home. For some people in top positions, they're working all around the clock.
Is it a red flag if, you know, somebody comes to you and says, okay, I want my wife to stop working when we get married, and she doesn't want to? Is it something that a woman should really rethink that union, or is it something they can work through?
That's a very good question that you ask. The reason I say this is because there are some women who actually want that.
Yes.
There are some women who actually do not want to work. They're very happy with the setup of I am home with the kids and then you work. And guess what? The marriage or the relationship works very well for them.
Right.
Because the two things that you need is understanding and peace. So if that's what you want and that person approaches you, guess what? To you, it's not a red flag. It's perfect.
Yeah.
And then there's the woman as well who, no, I actually want to do something.
Yeah.
I feel like I have a purpose that goes beyond my home. Because we assume that people who want to be at home don't have a purpose, or they don't feel like they've got a purpose. But
Of
for
course.
them, they might feel that purpose will be at home to raise their children. And then there are those who also feel that their purpose goes beyond the home.
Right.
And so for that kind of person, what I would say is it may not necessarily be a red flag, but it will be an opportunity for a conversation.
Right. Okay.
Because some people are only literally just doing what they have had their parents do.
Right.
And so because that's all they know, we have to understand that the scope of how far their minds can go may not be as far as you want it to be. So sometimes having a conversation and really making them realize that, okay, so if anything happened to you and you could not physically go to work, what then happens to our finances?
Yes.
Those are some of the questions that you can ask. And based on the answers that the person will give you, you know that, okay, this person will not work for me.
Okay.
Or this person, you know what, I think he's just been limited by the environment in which he's grown, and there's an opportunity for him to actually have a mind change. So you would have to do the hard work of having conversations. The problem we're having is we're not having conversations.
When we're not having conversations, oh my gosh. Guys, if you are just tuning in, you are tuned into the 3D show where your decision determines your destiny. We are in the studio with Princess Thompson, a relationship coach, and we're talking about roles and responsibilities within a relationship, and most importantly, within marriage. My breath, I'm running out of breath. Like, it's just so much because, you know, typically, like I said before, a lot of us will just think, oh, you know, roles and relationship, who's bringing in the money, who's cooking, who's doing this, who's doing that. And, you know, she's letting us know that there's a lot of things that we have always thought are cultural and traditional, but really they're not. They're just natural roles that we've been created for, that we've just extended over the years and over the centuries, that have almost just became a norm, that, oh, you know, like the woman is the nurturer and so she should stay at home, and the man is the stronger one so he should go out. But, you know, we're finding out that these roles are not set in stone, and, you know, it's very unique to your situation. And, you know, what the one thing that, you know, she keeps saying is communication. So, Princess, we've got some comments here. Dachi Hima says, beautiful ladies. Thank you so much, Dachi Hima. She also says, no, it's not compulsory. Married women have to be in the kitchen washing. Everything should be organized between couples. Yes, I mean, I totally agree with you. Nana Kwame says, wow, very educative program, keep it up. Thank you so much, Nana Kwame. Jinyame Yao Fosu says, wisdom ampa, keep it up. Mami Dakwa, oh hi auntie, she says great show, and she says we're looking very pretty. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. Keep the comments coming. If you have any questions for Princess, please comment down below. So, you know, you spoke about, you know, going into the relationship, you may go in with your expectations and, you know, with your identified roles. You know, I guess by the time you're getting married, you've done the counseling and all of that, so you understand the roles. You understand that, okay, you know, perhaps we can afford for me to take a year out, you know, to nurse for the kids until they're ready to go to school and what. But now, 5 years down the line, 2 kids, the roles are now shifting. You know, daddy's lost his job. You know, mummy is now having to, I guess, pick up a part-time job just to support the house. How do you navigate through that with a man's ego? And, you know, with a woman's, I don't know, like thinking, I want to save the whole, like, how?
Okay, so one of the things that I really like to emphasize on is at the beginning of the relationships, as much as you can, you have those conversations, and then at certain points you come back to review how it's been going so far, and then you have more conversation, right? So for example, I'll use my own relationship as an example, because I think it helps when you give people an example where it's suited to you. So in the beginning, my husband and myself, when we got married, we didn't really have a good conversation about, you know, roles, but we were very clear about certain things. So my husband loves cooking. I don't really like cooking.
Yeah.
So we use the, you know, strengths and weaknesses approach.
Yeah.
So a lot of what we did was, if it's someone's strength, they would naturally take it. And if it's someone's weakness and the other person likes it more, then the other person will take it. So my husband is very forgetful, right? So I don't want him anywhere near paying the bills, because he will forget. But then some people find it so strange, because, hey, my husband deals with all the bills. Like, he pays all the bills, and they find it strange that, you know, a woman will actually be involved in paying bills. I used to work as a personal banking advisor. So a lady came in one time, and this is where I got a real wake-up call and started to speak to women about the importance of knowing the ins and outs of the finances in the home. Because she was crying, her husband had passed away, and she didn't even know how to set up a direct debit. He had done every single thing. So you see, while the husband looked after her while he was alive, he didn't think of the future, the possibility of, what if I'm not around?
Not there, yeah.
So as we decide on these roles, we always have to have at the back of our minds that if you're not around one day, what will this look like for your spouse? And I think that my husband and I have always had that mindset, you know, they're always thinking ahead. Once again, Miles Monroe always said he always envisioned his family without him. And it's a very, very important thing to do, because then it will help you to realize that if I bombard you with every single responsibility and one day I'm gone, can you clean? Can you cook? Can you look after our children? So it's important that we all sort of have a good idea of what each person is doing, and that comes to the flexible approach, right? So you want to first look at the strengths and the weaknesses, because that makes it easy for you then to decide on what you're good at. And when you're doing something that you're good at, it's not that difficult, right? And then you complement each other really nicely, so it helps you build your teamwork skills as a couple, right? Then you want to look at flexible approach. So when I say the flexible, what I mean is when seasons change, and I like to use scriptures a lot when I'm talking about these things, just in case you're somebody of faith that's, you know, listening to me. There's a verse in the Bible that talks about, you know, to everything there's a season. And that verse is so important, because even if you're not, Ecclesiastes 3:1. So even if you're not a person of faith, you recognize that in your life there are seasons that you've gone through, right? So those seasons are when you realize there's a change in season, you want to sit down at that point with your spouse and you want to have a conversation. How is this going for us? So for example, my husband and I did this recently. We've got 2 boys now. Realize that I am struggling a bit with the house admin and, you know, booking appointments to the dentist, and not doing all of that, and then also looking after the house. And I said to him, do you want to take some part of this admin? Because he does a bit of the cooking. He does a large prep cooking or whatever it is that we do over the weekend. He does that, right? But I do want to take this part of the admin, because I'm really struggling, and I have baby brain. I don't trust my brain these days. Do you want to step in? And it's important for him to be able to see this as a flexible approach. So he should be flexible enough to step in. You should be flexible as a wife sometimes to step in when your husband comes and says, you know, this part that I'm doing is too much for me. Do you want to step in to help me? He now does the bathing of the kids. You know, for example, if you've got a wife who is pregnant and she's had children
and she can't stand the smell of the kitchen.
Exactly. She can't stand the smell of the kitchen, or her back hurts when she stands. I had a lady that said to me once, you know, my husband, my back was hurting. He said to me to pick up a chair and sit down while cooking. Right? And it's like, we have to be flexible in our approach, and the thing about flexibility in the approach, it helps you to grow and develop as a person. Because if you didn't know how to cook, guess what? Now you have to learn how to make some quick Indomie spaghetti somewhere, but you're developing yourself, because you're also learning how, you're picking up a skill, a very important skill at that, which is cooking. Right? So the flexible approach really helps you to grow. And then we've got the final one, which is the assisted approach. Assisted approach really works when you've got good finances. So you want to say, look, none of us want to do the cleaning. Let's pay for a cleaner to come over once a week and do the main part of the cleaning. If you're in some parts of the world, like my people in Ghana, you can hire a driver, you can hire a maid, you can hire a cook. You can get so many people to help you. But assisted help really works. So whereas there's a couple that, you know, doing some of the things nobody wants to do any, certain roles, you get someone to help you. Sometimes you can get, I used to have a virtual assistant to help me with some of my work stuff so I can focus on work. So it's just understanding what kind of help you need, what kind of assistance you need, and being able to, outsource that thing, and that really helps. And when you approach it in that way,
and
you
not feeling inadequate.
Exactly. So when you approach it in that way, you'd notice that ego doesn't even really play a part in it, because you're really doing it together. You're really, really doing it together. And what I'll say when it comes to ego is recognize what's important to your spouse. So if really, really your spouse wants to be the one to provide, for example, with men, let's look back at the way people, the reason for the creation, right? So when men were created, the first thing that they were asked to do was to work and till the ground. So a lot of men have built their identity in that, because that's the reason for which they were created, right? It doesn't mean that women can't work. It just means that the primary role, the primary purpose for a thing, I spoke to you that the purpose of a chair is to sit, but you can use it for other things, right? So when men came into the main purpose was to work and to till the ground. That was what the Lord said to them, right? So a lot of men have their identity in that. It's important to make sure that you support that, right? You support
as the woman.
Okay. But you can support that without bruising his ego. Okay. Right? With being intentional about making him know that I do respect that you do this. I want you to be good at this. I want you to thrive at this, but I still need support. Because working and tilting the ground doesn't stop you from still supporting. Of course. Right? Women work as well and they support. Yeah. so working and tilting the ground doesn't, prevent you. So it's being able to recognize and, encouraging him and letting him know that you do recognize that this is important to him. You will support him as much as he can, but you need support as well. And being an advocate for yourself and making sure that you're saying out loud, I need support as well. Yes. It doesn't stop you from being the man.
I think that's very, very important, because in the beginning you spoke about societal pressure and expectations. In our community, in our society, the African community, it is highly frowned upon for a woman to ask for help. It's like, oh, why are you so lazy? Like, are you the only pregnant woman? Like
you only have one and you're struggling.
I was watching a Nigerian movie, and literally the guy, like, he had no problem with his wife being pregnant and bringing in a maid and all that, because she had a difficult pregnancy. But then all of a sudden his friend's wife is pregnant, and his friend is boasting, oh, my wife, she cooks for me 3 meals a day, and my wife does this, and my wife. Then he started to look at his wife like, why should the maid make my breakfast? No, you have to make it. And in the end he lost his child. Because she wasn't being lazy, because the woman was like, yo, I've been doing this since we met, but I'm having a difficult pregnancy, but and in the end she succumbed to the pressure, and she had to get into the kitchen and strain herself, because she loves her husband and she don't want to lose him over something like this. So she put herself through all of this, and she fainted. She lost the child. I think this is just a movie. It's not anybody's life, please.
But I think this also highlights the importance of looking at your circumstance. Looking at your circumstance and not looking. The thing is, roles in a relationship, they are the behaviors and expectations that a couple has of one another. That's the primary definition.
Yeah, but a lot of the times, our African brothers and sisters, we always bring in other people, and it's always, oh, as for us, it's our culture. We met, like, your grandmother went to the farm. I wasn't born on a farm. I'm sorry. Like, what do you want me to do? Like they will just come at you with, and they will make you feel so inadequate, and it will make you start questioning yourself. And it's just like, oh, like, what do I do? How do you advise people? Because there's a lot of men as well that are feeling so much pressure, because girls are like, oh yeah, let me tell you, my friend, when they had their first child, her husband bought her a car for a push gift, and he got her an iPhone, and it's like, can we just leave everybody and concentrate on us? Like, how do you advise those of us that do things like that?
I keep it very plain and very simple. It is a relationship between the two of you, and if they are Christian, I'll usually say, and the Holy Spirit, right? Because when you understand that the Holy Spirit is a part of the relationship, the way you treat each other will change. If you're yelling at your wife and you know that the Spirit of God is sitting right there looking at you, you would start to approach it in a much different way.
Yeah.
So I think it's a part in the Bible that says, it's in Ecclesiastes 4:12 actually, where it says a threefold cord is not easily broken.
Yes.
It's because it's not just two people, it's three people in a relationship. But even for those who do not have God, the Bible still acknowledges their relationship and says, it's two is better than one.
Yes.
So understanding the fact that, and that's the thing I love about God, even if you do not necessarily believe in God, there are certain principles in the Word of God that can still apply
That
to
works for everybody,
everyone,
yeah.
right? And that's the beauty of it. Understanding the fact that it is two people if you do not believe in God, and it's three people if you do. It's never one person. The thing is, the one person, the Bible says, gets easily attacked. The one person, that's the one that God is saying, no, it should never be about one person, because he looked at Adam and said it was not good for him to be alone. So can you imagine if you're in a relationship and you feel alone? God is looking at that marriage, that relationship, and saying, it's not good what is happening there. It's not good what is happening there, because that's not how it's supposed to be.
Yes.
So the moment you can start to think of, it's two of us, it's two of that. It's not just me and my ego and my wishes and my wants and what my friends did and what my friends did not. Because for every person that you found who got a car for their push gift, you also find somebody who got nothing for their push gift.
And they're still fine.
Exactly. So it's really important that we stop looking at others. And I'll tell you what the problem with comparisons, I think I've spoken about this quite a number of times. You don't have the full picture.
You never do.
You don't. So you're seeing your friend who got a push gift, but you don't know that he beats her. You don't know that he emotionally abuses her. You don't know that she wants sex and she can't even have it.
Yeah.
But she's showing you the best parts of her relationship, right? Because who wants to come and put on social media? So we have to take all these things with a pinch of salt, and you can't then use what you don't have a full picture to determine your relationship. You're doing your relationship a disservice. And it's unfair, highly unfair to your spouse.
Wow. We don't have a lot of time, but I really want us to ask you this, guys. If you're just tuning in, this is the 3D show with myself, Desire, and our beautiful guest, Princess Thompson. She's a relationship coach, and we're talking about roles and responsibilities within a relationship and a marriage. I wanted to ask you this. In the beginning of the show, you mentioned that people get married for a number of reasons. Now, in relation to roles and responsibilities, again, please, I'm a maternity leave mummy. I watch a lot of Nigerian movies, but this is a case where he's now 40 something. I've made money. I need to have kids, so I must get married. So mom, find me a wife, or I will just go and find somebody that I just know, yes, she's a good woman. She can bear me children and look after the children. So I'm gonna do all of that, put you in my house, have kids with you, but I'm outside living my best life.
We have a lot of that, don't we?
We have a lot of that. So as a relationship coach and as a Christian at that, what do you say to such a woman? And what do you say? Because to him, he's not getting married for love. I'm getting married because I need children and I need a good woman that will look after the children. That's not my high time girlfriend that I travel to Dubai with, and who's educated in most cases, and who knows what's up.
So this person is committing adultery.
Yeah, I mean, Nigerian movie, but but most of the times this is the case. They will marry the so-called good girls, because a lot of these men will say, oh, as for me, my wife, she can't wear makeup, this is that. But then you see the clowns that they're parading on the streets with, and it's like they have all manner of makeup and stuff on. So what do you say to a person that finds themselves in that situation? Your advice to the woman, their wife, and then to the man.
If I got a chance to speak to the man, that would be amazing, because a lot of the time these men do not like coaching or counseling,
because they know what they're doing.
So it's very, very difficult to actually engage with them. And I think, and I always tell people, it's impossible to work on a relationship as just one person. The only way you can continue to do that is including faith. right?
Yeah.
That's the only way. It's like believing God for a miracle, literally. Because once again, it's not supposed to be one person. It's supposed to be two people. So where you find yourself in the situation where you're the person doing all the heavy lifting, it's almost impossible to work on that.
But then it could be argued that, but he gives me money. Like, you don't have any.
So, for example, if the man did come over to these coaching sessions or these counseling sessions with me, then it means that there is a possibility to work on this,
right?
Because at least he's come with a list. He's come to actually listen. He's open to it, and then you can start to navigate. And the first thing that you always have to do is you have to work on the man's ideas, on the man's thought process, on what the man has been introduced to. You know, you have to go into his background, what he's grown up seeing. Because sometimes, because they saw everybody else do that, you're old enough now, let's find you a wife. He thinks the same. You need a generation. You need a generation after you to name your children after. Something you can be proud of, a legacy. So you need to work on that mindset, and that's when counseling comes in. And then you also need to speak to the lady, because a lot of the times they are aware of these things. You can tell in the signs when you start dating someone. You can almost always see. So what was it that made it okay for you? We need to work on some of your mindsets as well.
What was it? Yes.
Because there was something about it. Because it could also be that, you know, the fear of never finding someone, the fear of never being financially stable. So this person has got money. Hey, let me, you know, make sure that my future is set. Kind of thing. And then there's some women as well who also really want children. So then they also go for it. So we need to know what that thing was, and then we need to work on it. When we can work on the mindsets, when we can go back into their childhood, look at how they grew up, look at the things that they were around, when we can work on all of those, then it's very easy for us to coach you and equip you with some skills for you to grow. It all starts from the mindset.
From the mindset. So, okay, so I've given the man. So, you know, sometimes women as well. Sometimes when we're of age and we want to marry, we will just go to church Monday to Friday. We will start sweeping the church. We will start, you know, like just doing all of this. And then, you know, like Eric from America will come and see you. Oh, wow, I like this sister. She's very humble. She does this, she does that. She's a good Christian. Okay, I will marry you. And then once the wedding is over, honeymoon is over, that's when Auntie Funke will now discover that she likes wearing heels, and she likes to drink, and she likes to go out, and she likes to do this. There's nothing wrong with that. But that's not the woman that he met. So what's your advice? Because now Uncle Eric from America is like, this is not the woman I met. You know, like, I live in America. There are so many women that are outgoing, this, that. If that's what I was into, I would have married somebody from here. So you're asking if you marry someone who gave you the wrong impression of who exactly, and then now she's now the life of the party. She wants to go out every weekend, and you know, all of that. What's your advice for Uncle Eric in dealing with that change, and like just handling that change? This is a really difficult one. The reason I say that is because we usually marry people based on the information we have. Yes. Right? Or that's what you're supposed to do anyway. So you marry someone based on the information we have, and that's the knowledge that you know about that, what you know about that person, which is the knowledge part of it, right? So you marry someone based on what you know and not their potential, or not what you think they can become, what you know. So for this Uncle Eric guy, it's a tough place to be, because he actually married someone based on what he knew. Saw, and now he's in a position where this is not it. Yes. Once again, what I would always suggest is conversations. So you first of all have a conversation as in, but she's always drunk. Well, then what we need to look at is an alcohol problem. Right. So it may not necessarily be a relationship problem. It could be an alcoholic problem. We need to look at a bad habit, or she's drunk, so it makes it a bad habit, hopefully, for whoever is watching. So we need to look at a bad habit that she has. Don't question the marriage and don't question the person. Deal with their bad habit. Because that's what that's the issue here. The issue here is a bad habit that she has. Or it's like someone with an anger problem. What the person might need is anger management, you know. It doesn't make them a bad wife or a bad mother. Not necessarily, because deal with the root cause. Like, what happens when they're not drunk? Is a question I'll ask. You know, when they're not drunk, are they very normal? Are they very okay? So what they have here is an alcoholic problem that has to be looked into. Hey, Princess, you are good. When I get married again, I'll come to you for counseling. Listen, it's been wonderful, having you, and
thank you so much.
I mean, I've learned so much. I'm sure our viewers have learned just as much. Guys, I don't know. I'm sure you've been just as blessed as I have. If you just caught the tail end of it, we will be posting the show on our YouTube channel. Please subscribe and follow, and do share the video. I think it's a very good conversation starter. If you're thinking of getting married, if you're dating, or anything like that, watch, by all means, share this video, watch it with your partner, because I think Princess shared a lot of gems in this. In a short while, I will give her the chance to tell you how you can book her for sessions, and where you can follow her. But just before that, I just want to give a very, very quick shout out to my sponsors. ITS Pro Training. If you want to get your SIA badge in just 4 days, or your CSCS card in just 1 day, please give them a call on 07904686944. And of course, outside is opening, the weather's getting good. Listen, if you are having a party, a wedding, a birthday party, if you want to do a music video, YouTube, anything in when it comes to media and everything like that, please contact World Media Production. They are your go-to for anything and everything, videoing, pictures, editing, anything. You can reach World Media Productions on 0744888990. And guys, please, I always say, I'm not begging. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. But I will still say, listen, I'm looking for sponsors for this show. I'm running out of money and outfits, please. So if you want me to look good, you can sponsor the show. All you have to do is just give us a call on 079-394-33028, or you can call on 078-72348490. It's been such a good discussion, and I'm sure we've all been blessed. Princess, just before we round up the show, thank you again for coming, and will you please let us know how do we contact you, your social media? Do you do private sessions? Do you do big conferences and all of that? Please let us know.
Okay. So yes, like you said, I'm a certified relationship coach and I'm a counselor in training. So if you'd like to book me for premarital coaching sessions, which have started now and they're on the way, you can send me an email at contact@princessthompson.com. It's contact@princessthompson.com. And on my Instagram as well, you can send me a DM at princessthompson_. I also run workshops for married couples who want to have specific workshops, whether it's on conflict resolution, communication, love, or anything that's unique to your relationship. Do the same, sending me an email. If you also want me to speak at any conference, whether it's your church conference or an institutional program, workshop that you're having, that you'd want someone who's an expert in relationships as well, I'm able to do that. So it's contact@princessthompson.com. Thank you so much, Desire, for having me.
Listen, please, we will love to have you back. Do you want to give a shout out to anybody, your loved ones, your beautiful boys, and our hubby?
Yes, definitely.
Hey, I'm claiming this good hubby. Hey,
shout out to my husband. He's actually my best friend. I like to call him my best friend. He's absolutely amazing. And my two little boys, they are in a very naughty stage at the moment.
Oh, bless.
But I love them so much. And so, yeah, thank you so much. My friends and my family as well. You guys know I love you too. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming. Guys, it's been real. It's been such a deep conversation. I don't know. I'm definitely going to go and watch back, because there's a lot of unlearning I have to do. There's a lot of things that I thought I knew, but I mean, I clearly, I just had the wrong end of the stick. So I'm definitely gonna, reach out to Princess, and hopefully we will all get it right. Are you not tired of, just making all these wrong decisions. And you know, I like what Princess said, because a lot of the times we're always pointing fingers at the guys, or you know, the guys are always pointing fingers at the women. But let's start off with, you know, ourselves, you know. And you know, I like what Princess said, like, what is it about that woman that felt like she needed a man that was just offering money, and you know, was just offering, like, you know, what? So before we judge our exes and our spouses, what is it about us that's making us make those decisions and making us choose these type of men that, you know, it never works out? What is it about, you know, the guys that are always, that's making them always choose the wrong girls, you know? So yeah, it's something for us to all think about. It's something for us to all think about, and I hope we do, because you know, it's about time we put an end to generational curses and generational cycles. You know, we only have one life to live, and trust me, you want to live it with the best partner ever. Guys, I'm gonna leave it there. It's been wonderful, absolutely wonderful having you. Until next week, remember, whatever decision you make is going to determine your destiny. So let's take our time, let's ponder over things, let's pray over things before we take that step. It's been real. Good night and God bless.